Hello, I'm Lillian Scott, and today I'll be presenting the work that I've been doing under Candy Lester through the Olympic Educational Service District 114. This presentation will be a visual guide to show the importance of the work that we have been doing for this project that Candy has been guiding me through. So first of all, we're going to start off with a little bit of a background information on the Olympic Educational Services District 114, but it's also known as OESD, just because it has such a long name. But OESD has three major programs that they work on in their early learning department. And that would be the ECAP program, the Early Head Start program, and the Head Start program. The bottom programs down here are federally funded programs, while the ECAP program is run by state funds. So basically, we are in charge of making sure that parents are aware that they are their child's first teacher, and they will continue being their child's teacher. These programs cater to families from prenatal all the way up to age 5. After age 5, usually a kiddo would go on to kindergarten, and we work hard to make sure that they are kindergarten ready, whether it's having IEPs done for them or referrals to any healthcare providers or any other services that would help them be school ready. So we move on here. There's a few questions that I have here that first discuss what does a learning environment look like. Everyone's learning environment looks very different, but we want to make sure that when it comes to school that it is a safe environment. Along with that is we want to make sure it's a nurturing environment. How is a child fully able to learn? A child is fully able to learn when its environment is balanced. We think of this balance as a bridge that has pillars, and each pillar is identified by a different thing, such as family well-being, health and wellness, financial stability, employment, and in our program, we make sure that we are family advocates and help parents support their child's learning. The reason we say this is because this can eventually end up affecting a child's learning outcomes. If a child is not healthy, whether they have an earache, a toothache, something's going on in the family health-wise, it just snowballs into them not being able to fully learn. So we want to make sure that we can lower any of those issues as much as possible for families. So this is where ACEs comes about. We use the ACE scoring sheet for our parents, and that's how we understand where our parents stand and how we can better cater to their needs. Basically, ACEs stands for the Adverse Childhood Experiences, and this was a study done in 1998 through the partnership of the CDC and Kaiser. They basically had a large study where they found that accumulations of child adverse experiences tend to hinder them in the long run as they get older, such as having chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, mental health illness, and risky behaviors. For the past 5 years, I would say Washington State has been promoting the idea of using ACEs as a guiding tool for public health care programs. Also in public schools, just to kind of understand what the demographic is. We want to make sure that the gaps through disparities, anything that's going on with their communities, that we're able to close the gaps and better understand them or better serve them, basically. So we use those ACE scores. It's kind of like we take a score sheet and we ask them, have you experienced abuse, trauma? And here's a better picture where you can see the components of it. We have abuse, which consists of physical, emotional, and sexual. We have neglect, which is emotional and physical. And then we have household dysfunctions. This includes mental health illness, mothers treated violently, divorce, substance abuse, and incarcerations. So when we have a child who's coming into our programs, we want to make sure that we're aware of any ACEs that any of their family have experienced, including child. We want to make sure that we don't let these events affect them in the future. So let's see. The reason why is because we feel that everyone should have equal access. Not just equality, but everyone should have access to a good, healthy environment. I was recently at a Kitsap County Human Rights Conference, and they were explaining how resources and opportunities can be equal, but it's more than that. It's not just giving everyone a stepping stool to look over the fence, or giving a stepping stool to only the people that need to look over that fence, but it's actually removing the fence as a whole. Making sure that we are viewing our community as a whole. So if we have a community where a certain population is not doing so well in health measures, but another population within the community is doing very well, that's where we have to kind of work together to even it out, see what's going on overall, to make sure that we're able to kind of leverage ourselves. Because if one group isn't doing well, that will eventually bring down the other community. So we want to make sure that we're working as a whole. And this is where the idea that Candy Lester brought upon is that she realized that we really don't have any referral systems where someone can log on and view all the resources that are within their community. And as a community member, they have that right to reach those resources and utilize them. So where we saw was the issue is, yeah, we might have all these resources, but how are parents, family members, or community members, anyone getting connected to these resources? And that's where she said, we need to work together to partner all our resources, build a website where a community member, a health provider, a program manager, no matter what their educational level is, they're able to log on and put in what their needs are. It's almost as if we were shopping. We are able to filter through what we are currently experiencing and what we need from these experiences. When it comes to partnering, it is a little bit of a difficult situation just because each program has their own focus area. So pulling everyone together to have the time, the effort, their experience, it's tough to find one good common ground, time, area to meet. But we have been able to do it, which has been amazing. We have had brainstorming panels where I believe the last one we had about 15 representatives from the community, and they range from public health programs to community-built programs to healthcare providers and ourselves also. So we're currently working on that. The thing with starting off with a partnership and ending with a successful resource website is it's very tedious, it's hard. A lot of people have different opinions, a lot of people have different needs. So it's just kind of trying to brainstorm and make sure that we keep the community in mind. So our guidance has been the Help Me Grow model. The Help Me Grow model is basically a national system that a lot of programs have been using, especially programs that are for family services, such as our education early learning department. So right here we have the model, and I spoke about this in my paper, but it's a little hard to visualize it through words. But basically we have different gears that once one gear is fulfilled and is able to move, it ends up impacting others and eventually causing a system of it to fully function. We have the family, community, and outreach, which eventually would impact child health providers, outreach, and then give us data. And once the data is collected, we're able to kind of have a centralized access point. Right now, I think we are still on the family and community outreach section. We're trying to just kind of get our word out, our idea out, and that takes some time. But another thing that we're always looking for is more partnerships. And the way we are making sure that these partnerships meet our needs for our community is by making sure that these programs have the 5 protective factors. And that would be parental resilience, social connections, concrete support in time of need, knowledge of parenting and child development, social and emotional competence of children. So if those programs have these already, we're able to put it on our matrix and say, yes, they check off all of them. If they do not have all of these, we'd like to discuss it with them and see how they're able to make this a future plan. So for right now, our plans for the school year of 1920, they are to basically have a time where we can meet with medical providers, because that's the go-to for parents. They know that if something is going on with their child, their first call is going to be to their healthcare provider, where they're able to get referrals, get more guidance. So I believe last week Candy just informed me that they just got approved to meet with one of our local hospitals here and discuss this idea of making sure that health is a continual thing, not just going to your provider's office, but also using these resources that are in our community, because we want to make sure that we build health autonomy within our families. Not only building a health autonomy, but making sure that we encourage and promote and help parents become less Medicaid dependent. So using things like WIC, Head Start, the health department are great ways to not rely so much on Medicaid. So along with that, we are also doing our website builder meeting, I believe in January, and then just continuing the network and building of partnerships. So since our project is not being funded through any grants as of right now, we're working on getting some grants approved, and maybe even thinking of donations through partnerships. But right now I think it's a long process to get a website up and running, and we don't expect it to be successful within the first years. We just expect to get the word out and make sure that the community knows that we're here to help and we're trying. So that's all that we have completed as of right now. We're very excited to see this flourish and grow, and we hope to have the website running by this time next year. So please stay tuned to that. And thank you so much for your time. I do have the references listed on the next slide. So if there's any other questions, feel free to ask me. And that'll be all. Thank you.